So actually, it's not opening to a space of what I don't know. It's
Mm-hmm.
opening to a space of what I know.
What
That
you
I know
know. Yeah,
if
because
I admit it and accept it, all of this is going to happen, and I open to that anyway.
anyway, exactly.
I go there, right?
Yeah.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. That concept, right?
Yes, exactly.
And that's where the magic happens. That actually, when I open to what is and being authentic,
Yeah. And you
it
know what?
creates.
The magic
Yeah,
is you. The magic is that energy you're freeing up, that life force that you're freeing up that was held up by that lie or that self-betrayal or that lack of self-acceptance. That's the magic that you free because the essence of you that gets released from holding up that lie or that betrayal or that judgment is what goes out into the world and brings you to places that you deserve and you've wanted to be at.
so let me ask you this. Is there anything wrong with being a liar?
There's nothing wrong with anything. You see, that's the thing. We
Yeah.
want to judge right and wrong, good and bad, and that's the first thing that we do so that we can decide whether to engage or not engage. It's really that is not even the level of conversation that we should be having. It's
Yeah.
the level of conversation is, am I a liar? That is deeper than is it good or bad? Because when you say it's good or bad, then you start to organize yourself on which side you want to be. And you lose
Mm.
presence. It's like you remove yourself from the experience. You conceptualize things. But come and be grounded and be like, it doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong. Am I?
Yeah, because you're not going in the direction of it's okay to be a liar. You're
Yeah,
not even going, that's the same thing. That's still good and bad.
yeah. It's
It's like, okay, it's not bad to be a liar. Does that make it good to be a liar? But it's still the same dynamic. You're
the
saying
same.
it
Yeah.
it's not good and bad. It's not about good and bad.
It's
Is
about
that what you're saying?
you. Are you that? Do you feel, are you judging yourself as that? Are you describing yourself as that? Are you seeing yourself as that? And what is the result of seeing yourself as that? How do you feel about seeing yourself as that? And where are you holding back accepting yourself as that? You know?
And so it's like admitting it, accepting and opening to just say, yes, I am a liar. That's all.
Exactly.
To
That's
really
what.
just
Yeah.
being that,
I
being
am
that.
a
That's
liar
all.
and
Admitting and accepting. That's
accepting.
all, right?
Exactly. That's all. And then something gets born out of that awareness. It's like that consciousness is because then the next thing for me has been, and how do I feel about the fact that I am? And that's when I start to see my own judgments on myself and how I'm withholding love from myself. And I'm reminded of Jesus the Christ. He went to those people, the prostitutes, the liars, the thieves, the tax collectors. And that's what is happening in this process. It's like your consciousness embraces these aspects of you that you have cast out and judged, and just accepting, like, this is who you are, and I still have presence for you. I still can stand with you and eat with you and dine with you, because when you
Which is
release
really
that
interesting.
attachment,
Yeah.
you're free.
And that's a really interesting example you brought up because what's occurring is Jesus never lied.
Mhm.
In fact, he told Peter, "You're going to lie." And Peter said, "No, I'm not."
Yeah,
And he didn't have an issue. He didn't say, "Well, it's bad, you're going to lie." He said, "You're going to lie." But
yeah,
what's interesting, we're not supposed to be Jesus. Just because he didn't lie doesn't mean we're not supposed to lie.
Yeah, because he
But
got
he's
there
the way
by
he
his own
was.
means.
Yeah, he's the way he was, and we're
Yeah,
supposed to be the way we are.
yeah,
That's all.
exactly. Exact. Peter was supposed to be the way he was. Judas was supposed to be the way he was. And you are supposed to be the
Yeah.
way you are.
He didn't throw Peter out of his discipleship because he was a liar, even
Yeah,
after he lied,
he made him the rock on which he built his church, by the way.
even being a liar.
Yeah. So it's not about good or bad. It's about accepting yourself and then releasing yourself from all the judgments that, because these judgments are the ones that are cloaking your true self. They're the ones that are making you block the flow of the divine within you, because the divine has a grand play and you're just a part in this grand play. And sometimes you're not surrendered to play the part that the divine wants you to play. But it doesn't mean he's not using you, he's still using you. But the inward resistance that you have against yourself is the one that is making your experience an experience of suffering instead of an experience of fulfillment and service.
It's kind of interesting that even beyond Peter lying, there's the betrayal by Judas,
Yeah,
and that had to happen for the resurrection and the redemption, right? So
exactly.
it's what you're saying, that even God has a use for Judas as a betrayer. Even he
Yes,
has a use for betrayal
he has a
in
use
his
for
plan.
lying, he has a use for murder, he has a use for everything we call negative. And so it's not about whether it's good or bad. This whole thing is about you discovering yourself, your true essence, and allowing that to flow into the world, because that is the divine flowing into the world through you as you.
And then you mentioned that, okay, we notice, we allow ourselves to admit, maybe even accept
Mhm.
I'm a liar. And then it was about releasing my judgments about that. How do I do that?
So the first thing is you need to see the judgments and you need to recognize those as judgments from you by you to you. Because sometimes the way we see things, we are deluded. And that's what the Gita says. Sometimes we are deluded and we do not realize that the judgment we are feeling is a judgment from us to us by us. We think it's someone else, we think it's something else. So when you look at that judgment and realize it's you who is judging yourself, then there's two things that happen. You notice the judge and you notice how you feel about the judge, and you notice how this person, this version of you that is being judged, feels about being judged. So it's like a whole reconciliation that happens within you. The one who is judging, the one who is being judged, accept each other. And releasing judgment is really being equanimous, dropping the idea that you know what is good and what is bad, dropping the idea that you know what should have happened and what shouldn't happen, where you should be and how you should be. Just dropping that, allowing yourself to acknowledge that you don't know, because that's the truth. We really don't know what's going on. We don't. We don't know where we are going. We don't know where we will be. We don't know what we want. It's just accepting. And I think, I don't know if I sent you the 6 limbs of Sharanagati. It's that first step of acknowledging your helplessness. And until you do that process of seeing your own judgment and sitting with how it feels in your body, you will never acknowledge how helpless you are in this life. You will always be thinking you've got it figured out. Yeah, as you talk about your plans and what you want, it's ego. You'll be thinking that you know. But when you sit with yourself and you're like, this is how I've been judging myself. This is how I actually see myself. And this is how I feel about how I feel about I judge myself. That experience of all those sensations running in your system will make you see how helpless you are. And when you acknowledge that helplessness, then you can let yourself free. You can release yourself from that prison that you've held yourself in. I don't know how to explain exactly how it happens, but
Well, what I'm getting is it's kind of similar to the exercise we did at the beginning of just noticing.
yes, yes. So you saw how
Like
it was to let go of all those things I was telling you to let go. Like
until you just,
imagine,
yeah, until you just
yeah,
experience what's actually happening
yes,
in essence. And that gave access to release, for it to let go, for it to
yes.
dissolve
So the
without
first
being
thing, yeah, the first thing you do is to release the seriousness around it. So that's why I invited you to it as an experiment,
mm.
because the mind holds the identity so seriously. And so when you try to let anything go, any idea, any belief, any judgment, it will offer another layer of resistance. But if you are like, oh, it's an experiment, let's try this. So then it's like you've tricked the mind. So the mind won't be as stiff and as closed when you say it's an experiment. So you first let go of that serious attachment and clinging to the identity. And then you let go of the other layers as we had done, like just let go of the idea that this is good or this is bad. Let go of the story of why what it is, like it's anxiety or so that's how you do it.
Awesome. And what's interesting is that even identity is fluid. We have this notion that identity is fixed, that cannot change.
Yes.
And we have to uphold it and maintain it. This is my identity. I have to fight for it.
Mm,
And even identity can change.
it can and it
It's on
should
the table.
because I mean think about how it was formed. It's like you are literally created. Jayan was created. It's a collaborated effort. It's a group project of your parents, your ancestors, your past experiences, society. All of these have created you, and they have created you in their own image. They're because they've been projecting onto you themselves, you know? And so this whole journey is about peeling that off and just going to the core of who you are because you're not this personality. But then the mind clings to the personality, and that's why the mind thinks that it's rigid. This is who I am. You'll hear people saying, this is who I am. People need to accept me as I
Yeah.
am. That is
That's
it.
the final argument.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah, that's the end of the argument right there.
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
never going to change. So like it or leave it.
Take it
Boom.
or leave it. I'm never gonna change. And you
And
don't
what's
even
interesting,
know yourself. Like that's not who you
yeah,
are.
yeah. And what's interesting is it's not necessarily that the identity changed from something to another,
Hmm.
that maybe what gets revealed is that it's just the tip of the iceberg of your true identity. And you're
Exactly.
holding on to a speck of sand when
Hmm.
we're our entire universe as
That's
our
what I'm
identity.
talking about, that your true essence shines. And the more your true essence shines, the more you release more of your essence into it's like the way you start peeling an orange, you'll be the one smelling the orange, but the more you peel it, the more the smell goes, infiltrates the rest of the room. And that's what happens. So the more you peel this layer of personality, the more of your true self shines into the world. So if you're so attached to this peel and you're not willing to peel it off, then your essence remains covered behind it. But the more flexible you are, and to understand that your personality is just a shell, then you can even just allow yourself to play around with it. Let me see what happens if I peel this back.
And it's interesting you mentioned orange because you didn't mention it earlier as to your individual soul essence flavor. A bit orange, didn't you say?
Yeah.
And you remember orange is the color of the sannyasin,
Oh,
Caroline.
oh my gosh. Oh,
Second time you mentioned orange, Caroline. Or should I say Prabhu Das?
wait,
Or
wait,
what's
wait, wait, wait. No, wait, dude.
the day Prabhu Das was born?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But that's what it is. Like the world is really eagerly waiting to smell us as we bloom, you know?
Because we try and copy people, right? We're trying to find what are you thinking? What did you do? We're trying to copy their actions and their thinking. When
Yeah.
actually what we copy is their being, which is they were being themselves, they were being authentic. Copy
Mhm.
that. Be
Exactly.
yourself.
Just be yourself and trust. Because sometimes we think that if I'm like that, if I'm like what I'm seeing outside, that's when I'll succeed. That's when I'll achieve. That's when I'll be free. That's when I'll be happy. And we are just trying to do what they are doing in terms of like on a superficial level. But we should do what they are doing, which is being themselves.
Yeah. I'm just getting this image of a jigsaw puzzle. So there's this beautiful picture.
Mm-hmm.
It's cut into all the individual jigsaw pieces,
Mm-hmm.
but then those individuals think they have to be the same, so they all make themselves into round discs and then
Mm-hmm.
wonder why the pinch doesn't happen again.
And that doesn't happen. Yeah. Yeah.
You have to be authentic for it to work.
But you see, that's why I was talking about our relationship with ourselves and our relationship with the divine. Because you cannot really be authentic if you don't trust yourself. Because sometimes we don't trust ourselves, and that's why we don't show up in the world as we are. Because we feel like there's something wrong with us, or like hatujafika bei. It's like we are not worthy, or we are not enough. We have that virus in our system, and we don't know that being worthy and being enough is exactly what we are holding ourselves back from. Because the more you release yourself and you allow yourself, the more worthy you feel, because you have shown up, you have lived, you know because that's what living is, like just being the person the moment demands, every single moment. And that's what makes you feel worthy. It's not like something happens from the outside, or you get something, or you're told something. Worthiness and enoughness is about how much you're allowing yourself to be yourself. And that's why I feel like the relationship with the divine is really critical, because in a roundabout way, because like from my experience, the more I have grown closer to God and Guru, the more I have trusted myself, because the more he tells me, be yourself, trust that God knows you, he loves you exactly as you are, he made you. It's like he's encouraging me to just allow myself to be. And as the more I be myself, the more I'm like, oh my gosh, oh wow. Because I'm getting the same reaction people around me are getting. I see an aspect of myself and I'm like, oh my gosh, oh wow. Like everyone is wow, and I'm also wow. You know, we are discovering me together. And so that's why I feel like this spiritual journey is the thing that allows us to give ourselves permission to be ourselves, because we know and we can feel we are not judged for who we are. We are loved. And when we are loved by the highest, we can give ourselves a chance and we can love ourselves. And when we love ourselves, we accept ourselves, we see ourselves, then there's now a deeper revelation of who we are and who the divine is and what the plan is. Does that make sense?
I'm okay, you're okay.
Pardon?
I'm okay, you're okay.
Yeah,
It's like you're putting onto the table the possibility for me to know and accept that I'm perfected
yeah,
the way I am right now.
yes,
And if I'm a different way in the next moment, that's also perfect. It's a fluid perfection, not a rigid perfection.
exactly.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So can you share an example of something that you've noticed? Because you mentioned that you're seeing and being, and it's like there's an impact, there's a reaction. Is there something you can share where this happened?
Hmm. So let me give you an example. I don't know if this um, is a good example, but it's what has come to me. So I have a couple of spiritual practices that my guru has prescribed for me as part of my spiritual journey. And it's been kind of really hard to do this. Like, I just find myself not doing it. Like, I'm supposed to meditate or chant or do some yoga, and I'm not doing it. And so I sat here one day and I was like, why is it that I'm really struggling to do this? And then I went to my altar and I looked at my guru's picture and I was like, dude, if you really wanted me to do this, you would like get me in the right mental frame. You would give me the energy, the desire, everything to do it. Why is it that you just watch me not doing what you have instructed me to do? Like, is it a setup? Because now I feel like I'm letting you down. And somewhere deep in my heart, he spoke and he said, do you think that was whatever is meant to happen or whatever is not meant to happen will not happen because you have not done your sadhana? Do you actually think that things are going the way they are going because of your sadhana? And I was like, yeah. He was like, no, everything happens by God's grace. It's not because you have done anything or not done anything. And I was like, okay, so I don't feel like doing my sadhana. I wake up in the morning, I'm running to do other things, like I'm not even thinking about it. He was like, just do what you feel like you want to do, but don't judge yourself and beat yourself about it. Just think of me, no matter what you're doing, even if it's not your sadhana, just think of me. And don't beat yourself and be nasty and negative to yourself about not doing your sadhana. That doesn't help. So I was like, then what's the point? Then why do you tell us to do it if it's not a must, or if it's not stopping, or making anything happen? And he said, I tell you to do it because deep down on a soul level, that's what you want to do. But you have not gotten to that level of consciousness to connect with that desire from a soul level. That's why I'm telling you to do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have to tell you to do it. And so that for me was a realization of, gosh, first of all, I'm not judged. I'm suffering because I think I'm being judged, but I'm really suffering because I'm judging myself. And that's what he was telling me to stop, because it's counterproductive. And even when I judge myself, I should just observe myself. My Swami usually tells us, even when you judge yourself, don't judge yourself about judging yourself. Just observe the judgment and allow, like that process we were talking about earlier. So for me, I have seen how that relationship with the divine has allowed me to love myself and to accept myself more. And as I do that, I I show up in the world differently. Um, I have a lot of compassion and empathy for people who are doing to themselves what I was doing to myself, or people who are doing to others what I was doing to myself, because I recognize that pattern. I recognize how it feels, and I can see how they're suffering. And I think that's what Jesus was saying when he said, "Forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they are doing." I look at people and I'm like, I have been doing that for ages. So I'm not looking at it from a judgmental perspective. I have compassion. So it's kind of like all these relationships have been affected. My relationship with myself has been affected by my relationship with the divine. And that has also shaped my relationships with others. I don't know if that was a good example for what you are asking.
Yeah, it's a great example, and it leads me to pose a potential summary
Mhm.
of what 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 we've been talking about. That the end of the journey, quote quote,
Mhm.
is when I'm okay that I am the way I am.
Yes.
I trust, believe, know, accept
Mm.
that I'm okay
Mm.
this way in
Yes.
every aspect. Something like that.
Yeah.
Which
100.
is nice. Makes it a lot easier than having to become perfect according to some predetermined format, right?
Yeah,
We don't
exactly.
actually have to change
You
at
don't
all.
expect that of yourself, you don't expect that of others. And to a certain extent, you allow life to be what it is because of that. And you can actually be happy.
It goes back to there's actually a book, I'm okay, you're okay, which kind of sums that up, right? I'm okay,
Mm, mm,
abbreviation to that. You're okay.
yeah.
And then there's this new book movement called Let Them. Were you telling me about it?
It's called what?
I think CC was mentioning it. Let Them.
Mm, let
Someone
them judge,
someone
let
is
them
about to marry the wrong person. Yeah, they're making a big mistake in their life. Let them.
let them. Yeah,
Someone is complaining and miserable and drinking themselves to death. Let them.
let them.
Really let it. And then the other part, which should come out maybe, and let me.